Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Let's learn computer science. Our today's topic of discussion is wired and wireless transmission media. Syllabus reference show understanding of the differences between and implications of the use of wired and wireless networks, including describe the characteristics of copper cable, fiber optics cable, radio waves, including Wi-Fi, microwaves, and satellite. This is mentioned in AS and A level computer science syllabus. So let's start today's session. Okay. So transmission media basically is, a way of transmitting data between different computers. So when you create networks, you need to connect those devices using using any one type of transmission media, and that transmission medium can be wires, or it can be wireless also. So two computers, they can be connected using wires, and or you can connect some computers using wireless medium as well. For example, you can use Ethernet cable to connect to the internet, or you can connect your device via Wi-Fi, or uh, Bluetooth can also be used to connect. So Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, they are type of wireless medium, and Ethernet cable is a type of wired transmission medium. So transmission medium, a way via which data is transferred. It's a medium through which you transfer your data. So two types, wired, and it is known as guided, and wireless, it is also known as unguided. Okay. So let's understand what is wired transmission media. So as you can see, it is basically a physical medium of physical transmission medium that uses cables or wires to transmit signals and data. So basically, there is a direct connection between the devices using cables, right? So establishing a direct connection between the devices. So whenever you connect two devices using a cable, just keep that in mind that it is a guided transmission media. It is wired medium of transmission, right? So implications of use of wired media: more reliable and stable connection, right? Better security, as physical devices, they make it more difficult for unauthorized user to intercept. Higher bandwidth than wireless medium. It supports higher bandwidth. Infrastructure cost, higher upfront infrastructure cost, because you have to spend a lot on cabling and other related hardware to connect devices with each other, including connectors, switches, routers, etc., etc. Limited mobility, it restricts mobility once your computers are connected via cables. So you know, you have to be there to work on those systems. You can't just take them around, right? So in your syllabus, it is mentioned that you should understand uh, copper cable and fiber optics. However, there is another cable type known as twisted pair. It's not specifically mentioned in your syllabus, but we'll cover for your better understanding, right? So let's understand what is copper cable. So it's also known as coaxial cable, right? So you must have seen this type of cable in your um, cable TV connections, by which you connect your device with your dish TV. So you must have seen this type of cable, right? Okay. So this cable is made up of central copper core. So this one, if you see the center one, this is copper cable, central copper cable. Insulation, copper mesh, and outer insulation. So this is protected, center core is protected by insulation, then there is a mesh, and then there is a outer plastic jacket, right? Characteristics, it consists of central conductor, which is made up of copper, surrounded by an insulating layer, a metallic shield, and an outer insulating layer, right? Normally, this insulating layer is plastic jacket black colored. This metallic shield is copper mesh, and this is normally a plastic white colored outer coating around the central copper cable, right? Signal transmission capable of transmitting analog and digital signals at high frequencies. Bandwidth offers a relatively high bandwidth. What is bandwidth, by the way? So bandwidth is basically a measure of amounts of data that can be transmitted per second. So that's bandwidth. It's a measurement of amount of data that how much it can be transmitted per second. So higher bandwidth means more data can be transmitted per second. Inference resistance. The metallic shield in coaxial cable provides excellent protection against electromagnetic inference and radio frequency inference, RFI and EMI, right? Distance can transmit signals over long distances without significant loss of quality. However, after some time, repeaters are required to amplify the signal. Applications commonly used in cable TV systems, Ethernet networks, and high-speed data transmission. These are application areas. Now, fiber optics. Fiber optics cable, it is made up of a glass fiber wire, which use pulses of light to transmit data. So when we talk about copper cable, their electrical signals are used to transmit data. Here in fiber optics, pulses of light signals are used to transmit data, right? Rather than electricity. Okay. So it looks like this. Fiber optics, you must have seen fiber optics, laid down on roads for, long distance telephone lines, right? So characteristics. It consists of thin strand of glass or plastic surrounded by a protective sheath, as you can see here, right? Signal transmission uses light signals. In copper cable, it is electric signals. Here, light signals are used for high speed and long distance communication. Bandwidth, incredibly high bandwidth, more than coaxial cable, enabling the transmission of large amounts of data simultaneously. Interference resistance, immune to electromagnetic interference, and radio frequency interference, RFI and EMI. Distance can transmit signals over very long distances with minimal signal loss. And application areas used in telecommunication networks, internet backbone infrastructure, and high-speed data transmission. Next comes twisted pair, which is not mentioned in your syllabus. However, better it is taken up here so that for your better understanding. Twisted pair cable. This is a type of cable in which two wires of single circuit are twisted together, as you can see in this image. So there are two wires which are twisted together, and several such wires are kept together in one cable jacket, right? So this is a conductor, this is insulator wire, and this is outer sheet, and there are several such pairs of twisted wires. So two wires of single circuit are twisted together, and several twisted pairs make up a single cable. Characteristics of twisted pair cable consist of pairs of insulated copper wires twisted together and encased in an outer insulating sheath. Are primarily used for analog and digital transmission, including telephone systems, majorly used in telephone systems. Bandwidth, moderate bandwidth, suitable for voice and data transmission in short to medium distances, not for longer distances. Interference resistance, twisting the wire pairs helps to reduce electromagnetic interference. And crosstalk between adjacent pairs. The distance over which twisted pair cables can transmit signals without significant loss varies depending on the cable category. There are different categories of twisted pair cables. So accordingly, distance can be covered. Application areas basically used in Ethernet networks, telephone lines, and residential and office wiring. These are some application areas. Very important comparison of all the cables. So if we look at bandwidth, coaxial cable, they have high bandwidth. However, fiber optics has more than coaxial and twisted pair. Twisted pair cables, they have moderate bandwidth. Signal transmission, both analog and digital. Light signals in fiber optics, and for twisted pair, both analog and digital transmission can happen using these. Interference resistance, excellent. Immune, there is no interference in fiber optics. In twisted pair, somewhat it is, it's good category, however, not prone to that. Distances, long distances, fiber optics, very long distances, and twisted pair, short to medium distances. Application areas, cable TV, Ethernet, high-speed data transmission, fiber optics, telecommunication lines, internet backbone, high-speed data transmission, twisted pair, Ethernet, telephone systems, residential and office wiring. This is comparison of all three cables. Now, wireless transmission. So wireless transmission is basically a medium that utilizes wireless signals such as radio signals or electromagnetic waves for transmitting data and information without the need of physical and any wiring, without any need of any wiring. So via air, basically, right? Wireless. Now, implications and use of wireless medium, mobility and flexibility, right? Your devices, they become portable, because you don't have to have any physical connection. So it enables greater mobility as devices can connect to the network without being physically tethered by cables. Easy deployment and scalability, right? You can add on devices, you can expand it as per your convenience. Interference and signal quality, here, there are chances for interference from other wireless devices because, it is some signals, they become weak when there are some objects they kept in between, or when there are other frequency range. So signals, they can feel that interference, right? Lower bandwidth than your cable connections, wired connections, and speed is also lower than that, right? Security consideration, very, very easy to, for other people, unauthorized access can be taken when it is a wireless transmission medium. Wired medium is always more secure than wireless medium, right? So interception can happen. These are some types of wireless transmission medium: Wi-Fi, radio waves, satellite, and microwave. These are mentioned in your syllabus. However, there is Bluetooth and infrared also, which are not specifically mentioned in your syllabus, but we'll cover that as well. So first of all, Wi-Fi, wireless fidelity. This is wireless connection that uses radio waves or microwaves, and it allows devices to connect to a network or internet without any cables, but distance is not that long. Characteristics, let's have a look at the characteristics of Wi-Fi. So wireless networking technology that allows devices to connect to a local area network or the internet without using any physical cables. Here, radio waves are used for shorter distances. and provides high speed and convenient wireless connectivity for devices such as smartphones, laptops. You all are using Wi-Fi at your home. You connect your devices with each other or to the internet, right? So you create a LAN or you connect it to the internet via Wi-Fi, right? So it's very commonly used these days. Supports various encryption and security protocols to protect data during transmission. And Wi-Fi networks, they operate in different frequency bands. One is 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. So offering different levels of speed and range, right? However, in Wi-Fi, there is a limitation to the distance, right? So beyond a certain distance, you cannot, the range becomes weak. So you cannot connect to that signal. So you are using the Wi-Fi at home. So once you are out of your home, signal becomes really, really low, right? So distance limitation is there, and you cannot connect unlimited devices. There is a limit to the connection devices also, number of devices also. Next is radio waves. Now, next wireless medium is radio waves. Here, electromagnetic waves are used for wireless communication and broadcasting with long wavelengths and low frequencies. Let's have a look at the characteristics of radio waves. Electromagnetic waves with long wavelengths and low frequencies are used in this transmission medium. It is used for various communication purposes, including radio broadcasting. So you must have seen different frequencies of radio channels, right? So radio broadcasting is one application area. Television transmission, wireless networking, right? You all are using like Wi-Fi. That is also an application area of radio waves. Can travel through the atmosphere and other materials such as buildings with relatively low attenuation. However, there is interference from other electronic devices, and physical obstacles can affect the quality of radio wave communication. Different frequency bands are allocated for specific applications to avoid interference. As I gave an example of radio. So there are different frequency waves, frequency range allocated. So to avoid interference, right? Then comes microwave. So there is another transmission medium known as microwave. This is subset of electromagnetic spectrum with shorter wavelength and higher frequency, right? So here, if you look, radio waves, long wavelength and low frequency. And if you look at microwave, it is shorter wavelength and higher frequency than radio waves. Used in applications such as microwave ovens, wireless communication, and radar systems. Characteristics: shorter wavelength than radio waves, operates in the frequency range of 300 megahertz to 300 gigahertz, can be used for short range and long range communications both, widely applied in microwave ovens, wireless communication, radar systems, and satellite communications, capable of achieving high data transfer rates, right? So this is all about microwave. Then comes satellite. Now, satellite communication, this is another type of wireless communication where you need to use an artificial object called satellites to transfer data. So satellites are established in order to transmit signals and data between different locations on Earth or in space. So you know that satellites, they are, placed in the space, and we communicate via satellites. So from Earth, our signals, they are sent to the satellite, and from there they are sent to some other part of the world. These satellite orbits the Earth, right? They all the time they orbit the Earth and act as relay stations, receiving signals from one location and transmitting them to another. So across the world, we can communicate via satellites. Satellite transmission media enables long distance communication, global coverage, and various applications such as satellite television, satellite internet, and satellite based navigation system like GPS. So these are some application areas. These are characteristics. Artificial objects placed in orbit around the Earth used for various purposes, including communication, navigation, weather monitoring, and scientific research. It enables long distance communication by relaying signals between ground-based stations and other satellites. Communication satellite receives signals from one location, amplifies them, and transmits them back to different locations. Can provide wide coverage areas, including remote or inaccessible regions. Used for applications such as satellite television, satellite internet, GPS system, and satellite imagery. Require line of sight communication, and atmospheric conditions can affect signal quality, right? So this is all about satellite communication. Now comes Bluetooth. We all are using Bluetooth, so we know how it works. So you can connect your devices for data transfer. Wireless connectivity that uses radio waves in the range in the frequency band of 2.45 gigahertz. If we look at characteristics, operates in 2.4 gigahertz frequency band, has a typical range of around 10 meters. You can't connect your devices if if you go beyond 10 meters range. So distance is a major limitation here. Enables wireless communication and data transfer between devices. Energy efficient and suitable for low power devices. Used in applications such as wireless audio streaming, wearable devices, your watches, etc., and IoT devices. Bluetooth sends and receives radio waves in the band of 79. So how it works, there are 79 different frequencies known as channels, and these are all centered on a 2.45 gigahertz frequency. Now, devices using Bluetooth automatically detect and connect to each other, but they do not interfere with other devices since each communicating pair uses a different channel, right? So they keep on hopping between those 79 frequency channels. So when a device wants to communicate, it picks up one of the 79 channels at random. If the channel is already being used, it randomly picks another channel, and this is known as spread spectrum frequency hopping, right? To further minimize the risk of interference with other devices, the communication pairs constantly change the frequency channels they are using several times a second, right? So this is known as spread spectrum frequency hopping. They continuously keep on hopping on these frequency channels to minimize the interference. Okay. Now, Bluetooth is used when transferring data between two or more devices which are less than 30 meters apart. The speed of data transmission is not critical, and using low bandwidth application, for example, sending music files from a mobile phone to a headset, etc., etc. Right? So these are the application areas. Next comes infrared. So a major application area of infrared is your remotes, TV remotes, or any remote systems. So electromagnetic radiation with longer wavelength and lower frequency than visible light, used for short range wireless data transmission in applications like remote controls and infrared data transfer. So two devices, basically they need to be kept in direct line of sight for data transfer here in infrared. So characteristics: use longer wavelengths than visible light for short range wireless communication. It requires a direct line of sight between devices. If you take them away from each other, they can't communicate. Can achieve relatively high data transfer rates, commonly used in applications like remote controls and wireless data transfer between devices, right? Now comes comparison of all wireless transmission medium. So there is a table created for all. So frequency range for Wi-Fi, it is 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. Bluetooth, it is 2.4. Radio waves, there are many, and satellite also, there are many frequency range. Communication range up to 100 meters in Wi-Fi, up to 10 meters in Bluetooth. Radio waves, it varies depending upon situation. And this is global coverage for satellite. You can communicate across the world. Data transfer rates, high for Wi-Fi, moderate for Bluetooth. It varies for radio waves, and it's high for satellites. Line of sight required, not required in Wi-Fi, not required in Bluetooth, not required in radio waves, partially required in satellite, and in infrared it is required, which I have not mentioned that it's not part of your syllabus. Purpose is wireless networking, internet access, Bluetooth device connectivity, audio streaming, for radio waves, wireless communication, broadcasting, satellite communication, navigation, GPS, etc., and data transmission. Interference potential, moderate for Wi-Fi, low for Bluetooth. Radio waves, potential interference from other sources if there are, it is affected by buildings and, anything if comes in between your data communication, you may lose it. Then satellite communication minimal in space because it is in space. So yeah. Application, home, office networks, Bluetooth headsets, speakers, IoT devices, radio broadcasting, TV transmission, remote controls, telecommunication, TV broadcasting, weather monitoring, mobility. In Wi-Fi, limited within range, you need to stay in the range. Bluetooth, again, limited. Uh, uh, this radio waves, mobility is high, and in satellite also mobility is high, right? Then there is another topic in your syllabus, difference between wired and wireless medium. So physical connection is required in wired. It totally relies on radio waves or infrared in wireless communication. No physical connection required. Speed, wired offers higher speeds, wireless lower speeds than wired medium. Mobility limits mobility, and wireless greater mobility. Installation and infrastructure requires the installation of cables and infrastructure planning for wired, and wireless requires setting up wireless access points or routers. Interference, less prone to interference, and wireless more prone to interference, right? Okay, let's have a look at some past paper questions now. Question is, Melinda mainly uses the internet to watch films and play computer games. Pick one box to identify whether Melinda should connect to the router using a wired or wireless network and justify your choice. So here, main thing is no points for any option is given. Whatever option is suggested, correct justification is to be provided. So if you take wired and you write correct justification for that, you'll get your answer. If you take wireless and you write correct justification for that, you'll get your marks for that. Okay. So let's have a look. If you choose wired, mention about high bandwidth, more security, and stability of connection. So 3 points you have to write. 3 justification points you have to write, because your marking scheme basically will have multiple points, and you need to write any 3 points, right? So you can write these 3 points if you are writing about wired, if you are taking wired. If you take wireless, if you suggest it should be a wireless medium, then while justifying, you should mention about mobility, less cabling, no physical connection needed, and easy expansion, etc. So any 3 points you can write, right? So that's all about this question. Next is, describe 3 differences between fiber optic cable and copper cable. Now that is why I showed you, this table. Here, clear comparison is there because there are questions in the past paper based on the comparison of different transmission medium, whether it's wireless or wired. So right now they are asking about Yeah, this one. So right now question is about wired medium. So there is a clear comparison, right? So you can write any 3 points. So I have written about, yeah. So fiber optics is more prone to damage than copper cable. Data travels through light in fiber optics and via electric signals in copper cable. Fiber optics has higher bandwidth than copper cable. So any 3 points you can write. Then we have another question. One type of transmission medium is copper cable. Give two additional any two other transmission medium you have to write. You will write wired or wireless. They have not mentioned specifically. So fiber optics, twisted pair, Wi-Fi, microwave, satellite, any you can write other than copper cable. So 2 marks for two right answer, right options written here. Then there is a question. A telecommunication operator has installed fiber optics cable in Gopal's neighborhood. Give 3 benefits. So you have to write just 3 benefits of copper cable, sorry, of fiber optics cable over copper cable. So let interference in signals. Signal does not degrade as fast, needs less signal boosting, more difficult to hack, more secure, greater bandwidth, faster transmission speeds. So you can write any 3 points. Then there is two drawbacks of fiber optics cable, right? Higher initial installation cost is high, hardware is more expensive, specialist trained personnel needed to install, difficult to terminate electronics at both ends are more complex. Fiber optic cables can break when bent, only transmits data in one direction. If fiber optic cable connections fails, many more services can be affected. So these are some drawbacks. So that's all about transmission medium, including wired and wireless, right? So thank you.